You ready? Green, green, green.
These drivers put on a great show
on every type of track.
driving these cars, banging off of each other.
Oh, he gets sideways. He's off the racetrack. There he goes, trying to make the path. If you're a driver trying to get in, you get little opportunities like that. Watch how hard these guys are going to drive.
Checkered flag in the air.
Checkered flag there, champion.
And welcome to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and the stadium. Bowman-Gray Stadium for the NASCAR Hall of Fame 150. Alongside Phil Parsons, I'm Rick Allen. Down on pit road will be Derek PERNESIGLIO with us this evening. A gorgeous evening for racing as the drivers are meeting some of the fans. 69 degrees, calm winds, and forecast for great racing. Here's the East Series point standings. Chase Elliott and Brett Moffitt up top. 21 points separate the two. Now let's hear from Derek.
Well, you never know what NASCAR legends you're going to run into at Bowman-Gray Stadium, and we've got a Hall of Famer here. Glenn Wood, you've had many laps, many wins at this racetrack, many championships, but has it changed any differently over the years since you raced here?
Well, it's changed a lot in some ways. In some ways, it's the same old thing. The track itself, I can't tell any difference, other than you used to have cross ties around on the infield, and you'd run over them sometime, but they took them off and put little speed bumps, I guess they call them out there, but they really put on a show here.
I was here in 1970, Rick, and this racetrack is exactly the same as it was in 1970. Here's some of the things you have to do to run well here. You have to turn the center of the corner, and you have to get that 630 horsepower hooked up off the corner, and you want to stay on the bottom.
Let's look at one of our regulars in the series in today's Bio Blast.
Hi, I'm Darrell Wallace Jr. from Concord, North Carolina, driver of the number 18 Coca-Cola Toyota Camry from Joe Gibbs Racing. Started out when I was 9 years old in the go-karts WKA series. Worked my way up through the ranks throughout the Bandoleros, Legend Cars, Late Models, East Car, and now on the Nationwide series. I got 6 wins so far in the K&N series. Biggest win for me in K&N would probably be at Dover last year, winning the season finale, winning both practices, qualifying on the pole by 2/10, and winning the race in a fashionable manner. I'm Darrell Wallace Jr., and that's your K&N Bio Blast.
Darrell Wallace already with a win this season at Greenville Pickens. A very impressive career in just a very short time that he has been a part of this. Let's go back to Derek PERNESIGLIO with the guy who's starting up front.
Well, guys, Kyle Larson starts on the front row for the 3rd time in 5 races, but it's his first pole. And Kyle, did running all those midget and sprint car races on them little short tracks help you get around a place like this?
Yeah, for sure. You know, even though this is a short track, it feels a lot shorter than what it does in a midget or a sprint car just because the cars are so much bigger. So it's a little bit of a learning curve, and I'm happy to get the pole just because you can get caught up in some serious trouble there in the back of the pack.
Kyle Larson, the 19-year-old, will bring the field to the green flag when we come back to Bowman-Gray Stadium. And welcome back, drivers strapped in as we're getting ready to start the NASCAR Hall of Fame 150. And for more on what's taking place this evening, let's go back to Derek.
You know, guys, if you look over my shoulder, there's nothing but a football field in the infield. The pits are based outside the track. That means that once the race starts, you've got to stay out if you want to try to win this race. If you fall out, you are done. That's one major factor. The other major factor tonight is the driver's feelings. Check your ego at the door. This is racing at Bowman-Gray Stadium. Bumping and banging is commonplace, and it's going to be very common to see some wrinkled fenders here tonight.
Maybe a little more than ego here. You're going to have to keep in check.
We want to take a look at our starting grid. Again, Kyle Larson grabs that top spot in qualifying. It's Corey LaJoie that will start on his outside. A pretty impressive front 10 here.
Certainly is. And how about Sean Case back to this series, a 7-time winner? Good to see him back.
Eddie MacDonald also in that top 10. Carlos Giaconelli will start 11th in this one.
Harrison Rhodes will make his debut from the 14th position.
Jorge Contreras Jr., a very young driver there, also in the top 20. Travis Pastrana, problems in qualifying, had to go to a backup car, starts 21st.
Long way to go here on this little tight racetrack.
Field side by side, 2 by 2 as they work out of turn number 4. Green flag goes in the air. We're underway.
A little bit of contact between the front row, and that's not going to be unusual occurrance.
Little bumping and banging once again through 3 and 4. On the inside, Larson trying to hold the spot. Corey LaJoie on the outside. LaJoie gets the nod for leading the first lap.
Trouble already. You see some of the damage on some of the cars. A little beating and banging back through the pack.
We saw Travis Pastrana a little wrinkled fender already, and Kyle Larson moves up front now, and he'll take the lead once again.
Somehow there was room for Corey LaJoie to get in between the leader and Sean Case in the 49 car.
Single file back there on the outside is the 9 of Chase Elliott. When you get stuck out on the outside, it is really a death sentence for you.
You know, you would think that you wouldn't be able to pass on this little flat track on the outside, but remember last year Corey LaJoie finished second. He started back in 13th.
Also on the outside, we see the 71 of Eddie MacDonald. He works his way in, makes a spot now just in front of that 14 of Daniel Suarez.
It's a battle for the 10th spot here with Iaconelli in the 15, Eddie MacDonald in the 71.
Such a tight racetrack, Phil. Do you have to put the bumper to someone to move him out of the way?
Well, you don't have to, but that's a lot easier to do it. And you're going to use the bumper here whether you want to or not. It's just so tight. The confines are so tight here. You see Darrell Wallace Jr. right now in 4th. And he's within a foot of the car in 3rd and the car in 5th.
Kyle Larson continues to lead. 3 cars back, though, the 18 of Darrell Wallace Jr., Derek.
And the 18 is really hoping to turn his luck around. He sits 15th in points right now. He's only got 1 win. That came at Greenville Pickens Speedway earlier this season. Other than that win at Greenville Pickens, Darrell Wallace Jr. has had no finish better than 18.
And very surprising for a driver with 6 wins in this series that the best finish he's had is 18th this year other than that win.
Yeah, but how about that nationwide debut at Iowa just a couple weeks ago with a top 10 finish?
And a great move there. Move to the inside of that 49 of Sean Case. Takes the spot away. Now Case on the outside of the 1 of Sergio Pena.
He's beating and banging there. There's Moffitt. Pena's teammate gets to underneath Sean Case.
See if he lets him in. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. Brett Moffitt to the inside, still trying to make his way forward. Gets by that 49. Now there's a spot for Sean Case to slide into.
It is just amazing how narrow and tight this little quarter-mile racetrack is.
Well, you come off of the turns. I mean, even turn 2 and turn 4, when you come off those turns, there's a guardrail that comes at you almost, it looks like. So there's not a, you can't sweep and do a wide turn coming off of these turns.
No, it's really important to really get these cars to turn in the center, get it pointed in the right direction, and then try to get the power down. You have to run like the throttle has an eggshell underneath it.
These two have pulled away from the field already. Kyle Larson and the 07 of Corey LaJoie continue to run 1 and 2. Again, LaJoie led the first lap, and then since then it's all Kyle Larson.
There's Ryan Gifford there in the 2 car. Chase Elliott in the 9. Chase coming off that huge win at Iowa. First career win for that 16-year-old.
And Phil, we've always talked about if there's a gap in front of a car, you know that he's holding up the cars behind him. And already we're seeing 2 distinct gaps. Ryan Gifford has a gap in front of him, and we see the 9 of Chase Elliott all over his back bumper.
Yeah, there was a little bit of contact the last lap there. Chase would love to close up that gap, and you're exactly right. When a driver sees the gap in front of the car in front of him, you get anxious
and impatient. So let's see how long it takes Chase Elliott to get impatient, maybe put the bumper to the back of that 2 of Ryan Gifford.
That is a battle for the 7th position. Gifford has it. Elliott now back to 8th. Brian Ortiz, the 4 car, now running 9th.
And right behind them, the 15 of Carlos Iaconelli, and those are all bumper to bumper as they continue to work their way around this racetrack.
The laps go by quick here. 150 laps on this quarter-mile racetrack. The qualifying, the pole was right around 15 seconds. So all things being equal, you can put 4 laps on the board in 1 minute.
And things have clicked away pretty quickly. You see a battle for the lead. Kyle Larson still has that 07 of Corey LaJoie all over his back bumper.
Well, Corey got a good run through the center of the corner, pulled right up to the rear bumper of Larson.
And right there, we've got an issue on the racetrack. The 71 of Eddie MacDonald turned the wrong way. So Eddie MacDonald slows the pace down for just a moment here on the 18th lap from Bowman-Gray.
See if we can take a look at what happened to Eddie. A little bit of contact from the back. It looked like it might have been the 14 of Daniel Suarez that made contact with Eddie.
So Eddie MacDonald brings out the first caution. It's Kyle Larson out in front of the field from Bowman-Gray Stadium. Stay with us. 2x2 once again as we see Corey LaJoie will be on the outside, Kyle Larson on the inside. The flagman letting him know next time by we will go back to green flag racing.
How about this crowd here, Rick?
It's spectacular. We talk about historic racetracks. This one is the most historic when it comes to NASCAR racing.
Yeah, this is the longest continually operated racetrack in NASCAR right now. They opened in 1946.
Unbelievable. Coming out of turn number 4, side by side once again. Kyle Larson on the inside, Corey LaJoie on the outside. Green flag back in the air.
Really, really important for Corey LaJoie right now to try to get a hold on the inside Darrell Wallace Jr. would love to get up there. I think Corey has a hole now.
Darrell Wallace Jr. spun his tires coming out of turn number 2. That opened the door for Corey LaJoie to take that second spot.
That's so huge for Corey to be able to get down to the bottom like he did.
So Corey LaJoie tucks right back in behind the 6 of Kyle Larson. Then it's Darrell Wallace Jr. in the 18 running in that 3rd spot.
See Sean Case in the 49 car hung to the outside. Oh, trouble already. 3 cars involved.
Harrison Rhodes, we talked about him making his very first start in the 37. He's involved in this one.
There's Dylan Presnell in the 26 car. He was involved.
And Jimmy Weller also in the 31 involved in it.
There's Yaconelli in the 15. Brandon Godovic in the 46 also involved.
Yeah, this happened after that initial 3-car incident happened. These guys got turned around. It's so tight here. When one guy checks up on the brakes and the other guy doesn't realize it, he can get into the back and spin someone around.
And nowhere to go to avoid it. You see all the damage to the 96 car of Ben Kennedy.
Yeah, Ben Kennedy looks like he got underneath the car in front of him and did a lot of damage to the front end of that race car. So unfortunate for Ben Kennedy. Let's go back to Derek PERNESIGLIO.
Guys, one of the major factors going into this race tonight is overheating. A lot of the drivers have come over the radio and said the temperature is starting to spike in the race cars. When you race on a short track, you don't get a lot of airflow coming into the air dam to cool that engine. So the crew chiefs have come back and said, put the car in neutral, rev it up, and get some of that water circulating.
You know, Derek makes a great point, and some of the cars with the composite bodies are taking all the air down in the bottom, and when you run underneath somebody, you do damage to that top grill opening like the metal bodies. So some of the cars with the composite bodies may have an advantage as far as cooling goes.
We saw the green flag was open for pit road, which, by the way, is outside of the racetrack. So the cars have to go outside to do any extensive work on these race cars. They don't have a typical pit road in the infield because the infield's actually a football field.
And the fans are into it, too. Did you see the fans hollering at their favorites?
Yeah, it's great here. What a beautiful setting. And the folks here in the Winston-Salem area really cherish this racing that they have on a weekly basis.
Yeah, they run the modifieds, or the Southern Modified Tour here, and it's amazing the crowd they get week in, week out here.
Coming back out of turn number 4, side by side. Green flag back in the air. We're back underway. Corey LaJoie still on the outside. Way up the racetrack, the 1 of Sergio Pena. He gets hung out.
And we were 3 wide coming off turn 2. How about through the grass there for the 2 of Ryan Gifford? Corey LaJoie leads that lap as well.
Yep, Kyle Larson trying to stay on the bottom of the racetrack, but Corey LaJoie making the move on the outside. This is very uncharacteristic, but Corey LaJoie is able to hold on to it, still working that outside line. He's going to lead that lap as well.
Yeah, Corey's got the lead. He got in front of Larson that time. Oh, now Larson fights back to the inside, but Corey's going to get the bite off the corner and clear him again.
Corey LaJoie out in front of the field now as the 6 of Kyle Larson continues to try to peek on the inside to take that spot back. But LaJoie, your leader at the stadium.
Yeah, that was huge for Corey LaJoie to be able to wrestle that lead away from the outside on that restart.
Took it away on the restart. Now he holds on to it. Single file once again. You see Chase Elliott in the 9. Just behind that 4 of Brian Ortiz. Now side-by-side racing. Travis Pastrana on the inside. Ben Kennedy with the damage to the front end of that race car on the outside.
Yeah, Travis has made a nice recovery starting from the very back of the pack with a backup car now up into the top 13.
Very odd that you would think you'd have to go to a backup car, and caution comes out once again. This time it's Dylan Presnell in that 26. He gets turned around, catches the 12 of Jorge Contreras Jr.
And these cars come around the racetrack so fast, it's almost impossible not to lose a lap when you spin like that.
So a hard-fought Corey LaJoie in front of Kyle Larson. Corey LaJoie now leading the pack. This time Corey LaJoie is going to choose the inside line for the restart of the NASCAR Hall of Fame 150.
He's restarted from the outside every other restart this race. He's going to love being on the inside.
We'll see how it works out. We saw Corey LaJoie get the lead on the outside. Can Kyle Larson do the same thing? Corey LaJoie, Kyle Larson side by side, green flag back in the air.
See Larson keep his left front fender right against Corey LaJoie. Now he's got a battle for second. Darrell Wallace Jr. pulls to the inside.
Darrell Wallace Jr. had a lot better restart that time, but it's the 6 of Kyle Larson that gets in and behind him.
Wow!
Take a look at this, the 14 of Daniel Suarez up on his side.
Look at the damage to the right front corner of that Toyota.
Sliding into that's where they get off the racetrack to go to pit road. Daniel Suarez in that 14 up on 2 wheels now because he hit the barrier right as they were getting off of the racetrack.
Tremendous amount of damage to that X-Team car. Wow. You just wonder if there was a little bit of contact that sent him out there towards the outside wall.
Yeah, he's definitely headed the wrong direction, so he had to have some help, or the back end broke free. Take another look.
Watch him on the outside of Brandon Godovic. Looked like he got in the corner a little bit hot. Maybe he had a little bit too much rear brake. You try to run a lot of rear brake here to help these cars turn in the center of the corner, and he may have got a little bit of wheel hop as he entered the corner.
In a very strange way for us to go into a red flag condition. We've got a car stuck on the guardrail right now. The right side of that race car propped up against the guardrail because he slid in there on two wheels, got up and locked that car onto the guardrail. Let's hear from Daniel Suarez. He's with Derek PERNESIGLIO.
Well, Daniel Suarez took a hard shot out there on the track. It's great to see that you're okay, but can you tell us what happened?
Actually, the car was pretty good. Everybody in the X team making a really good job, but I think the brake balance was too rear. When I brake too hard, the rear tire one broke, you know, and lost the car and go to the wall too hard. But I'm happy everything is okay, and need to keep working to the next race, to the next weekend, and work.
Well, unfortunately, Daniel Suarez is out early, but he is okay.
Yeah, that was a hard hit for the 20-year-old out of Monterrey, Mexico. So they're going to work right now. Again, that's the entrance to pit road off of the racetrack. So they're working on getting that safe once again after Suarez knocks down the barrel here at Bowman-Gray Stadium. Welcome back 2x2 once again for the NASCAR Hall of Fame 150. On the outside, Kyle Larson. The inside, Corey LaJoie. Green flag back in the air.
Corey spun the tires for just a moment. It allowed Larson to be right up beside him, but he has the advantage on the inside. Let's see if Larson hangs in there or jumps to the inside. He does.
Brett Moffitt with a good restart. He's trying to find a spot, but it's Darrell Wallace Jr. that's on the inside. Can Moffitt sneak in there and take third away?
They're still side by side. Moffitt has the outside line here. Darrell Wallace the preferred line on the inside. Wallace has it.
Wallace takes third. That drops Moffitt back to fourth. They're side by side for fifth, but now Ryan Gifford will slide in behind the one of Sergio Pena.
Hey, Brian Ortiz the four. Oh, a little bit of contact. Looked like Chase Elliott got pushed into the corner by the 49 of Sean Case.
And the 49 and 9 are still going at it. Now the 49 of Case hung out on the outside of that 46 of Brandon Godovic.
There's Ben Kennedy now going to try to get to the inside of Sean Case. We saw him with damage earlier. He's made a nice recovery, stayed on the lead lap.
Dale Quarterley just in front of that 9 of Chase Elliott. Quarterley doesn't have a lot of damage to his race car, but I guess it's still early in this one.
Yeah, if you're going to run 150 laps here at Bowman-Gray, you're going to have a little bit of body damage when this thing's over.
A lot of body damage to that 96 of Ben Kennedy. Again, that happening earlier in the race when he got underneath another race car. Side-by-side battle for 12th. Pastrana on the inside, Sean Case on the outside.
Yeah, Iaconelli, the 15, all over the back of Pastrana. And please go, Travis, please go and let me get to the inside as well.
And now up underneath that 99 is Iaconelli, but Pastrana able to keep the rubber to the racetrack and hold on to that position, and everything right in front of him. Dale Quarterley in the 32 gets turned around.
Sean Case makes a little bit of contact with the outside guardrail.
Ben Kennedy, Sean Case, Jimmy Weller all involved in this.
Ben Kennedy able to drive away before the leader gets here. He stays on the lead lap.
Fifth caution of the race coming out. Ben Kennedy again involved once again.
See up at the top of our screen there, looks like Dale Quarterley gets turned around and it just blocks the racetrack.
It is such a narrow racetrack, and you talk about one car sideways and nobody can get by.
Looked like Iaconelli went across the 20-yard line to get by that.
And everybody, he got out of the red zone. Everybody is going the right direction once again as we're getting ready for the restart. Corey LaJoie, Kyle Larson once again side by side. LaJoie choosing the inside, the preferred line once again.
We had 15 caution flags in this race last year. You know you're going to have to be good on the restarts. Corey has been.
A lot of bumping and banging continues. Green flag back in the air. Larson turning hard left, gets a little contact with that 07 of Corey LaJoie, but he'll be able to hold on to second.
Darrell Wallace Jr., Brett Moffitt again side by side for the third spot.
Darrell Wallace Jr. still on the inside, holding on to that preferred line. Brett Moffitt on the outside.
Darrell Wallace Jr. now has the advantage, takes over that third spot.
How about Ryan Gifford and the 4 of Brian Ortiz fighting for real estate?
And they are teammates as well, but I'm telling you here, I don't know if you can call them teammates or not.
I don't know if you have a teammate when you come to a short track like this. Chase Elliott now all over the back bumper, that for Brian Ortiz. He doesn't want to open the door for Ryan Gifford. He wants to be able to hold him out on that outside line.
Doing a nice job staying right against the rumble strips on the inside. Chase Elliott has that spot.
You mentioned it, confidence so key, and momentum. Chase Elliott winning a big race in Iowa the last time these teams were out.
Remember, now we had the best of the West in Iowa as well, and Chase beat them all.
Chase Elliott now chasing after that for Brian Ortiz for that position. Still out in front, Corey LaJoie. Kyle Larson running in the second spot.
Right now, 16 cars on the lead lap.
See Darrell Wallace Jr. running third. Brett Moffitt in the 11 is fourth. Rounding out the top five is Sergio Pena.
See, there's a little bit of a gap in front of the third place car, Darrell Wallace Jr. up to Carl Larson in second. Now Corey LaJoie's opened up probably the biggest lead we've seen anyone have this race, and that's about, a little bit of contact there. Chase Elliott runs in the back of Ortiz, gets beside him. Let's see if Ortiz returns the favor.
I don't think he's going to be able to hang with him, Phil.
Yeah, Chase Elliott has a good car right now.
There was that situation again where there was a gap in front of the four of Brian Ortiz. Chase Elliott bumps him, moves him out of the way, now takes that position and chases the car in front of him. Travis Pastrana with Carlos Iaconelli all over his back bumper.
There's Dale Quarterley back in the race. We saw him involved in that caution, most recent caution flag.
Nose to tail around the racetrack. Everyone fighting for real estate, but up to this point, we haven't seen a lot of bumping and banging as far as moving guys out of the way. Now, as soon as I speak about that, Carlos Iaconelli gets into the left rear quarter panel, moves Travis Pastrana up the racetrack, and will take that spot.
A nice save by Travis Pastrana, and he's able to get back down on the bottom in front of Quarterley. Now, there's some more contact between Quarterley and Pastrana.
Things are heating up as we've passed the halfway point. Pastrana in the 99. Is he going to be able to hang on? Quarterley all over the back of that race car.
Travis said, just give me a chance to breathe here for a second.
It's so hard, as you mentioned, 15-second laps around this quarter mile.
Caution's out.
And we got a caution for the 22. Sam Hunt gets turned around. So that brings the 6th caution out once again.
Obviously a little bit of contact there. You see Sam get turned around. Looks like that might have been Eddie McDonald in the 71 behind him.
A full moon. Well, short track racing. That's why we're seeing the cautions. Race Stadium in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. A perfect night for racing and a perfect night for short track racing. We've seen a lot of bumping and banging once again on the inside. Corey LaJoie, Kyle Larson on the outside. Green flag back in the air.
Corey LaJoie's been pretty flawless on these restarts. You see him open up and get such a good bite off of turn 2 on these restarts.
Corey LaJoie was able to take the lead away from Kyle Larson on a restart. He did it on the outside. Was able to hold on to that top spot now, and as you mentioned, has been so good on these restarts.
We had a side-by-side battle for third for a moment. Now Darrell Wallace has third back. There's Brett Moffitt, the 11 and 4th.
Sergio Pena in the 1. A lot of damage to the front end of that race car now. And we talked about the overheating issues. That could be a problem for the 1 of Pena.
You certainly could. All these steel-bodied cars, when they close up that top grill opening, as Derek was reporting, as you said, there's a lot of damage to Sergio Pena's car.
A lot of smoke coming out of the right front of Travis Pastrana. That's from body damage. Sheet metal rubbing up against that right front.
You see when that car loads down in the center of the corner. Ooh.
Dale Quarterley again. It's short track racing, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Pastrana has been hit more times now than I think he does in the X Games.
Without a doubt, and it seems like a lot of them have come from Dale Quarterley here recently.
Yeah, Quarterley has been all over the back bumper of that 99. Right behind Quarterley, the 37 of Harrison Rhodes. Harrison, we saw him go off the racetrack, have work done to his race car, and he's back out here working his way back onto the lead lap.
See, right now there's a gap in front of Travis Pastrana. That's why Dale Quarterley knows that it's time to go.
And he sees that smoke coming off the 99 as well. Pastrana continuing to wear away at that right front tire. With 62 laps to go, Phil, is there a concern of blowing the right front here?
I think with that much smoke, there's definitely going to be a concern of blowing that tire. Sometimes it would be rubbing it right on the top of the tire and nothing sharp, so it could rub for a long time, but there's got to be a concern, though.
Behind this group, you see the 96 of Ben Kennedy. Corey LaJoie out in front ever since lap 37. And with just 60 laps to go, Corey LaJoie closing in on potentially his first win.
Yeah, we were talking about the lead he had just before our last caution flag. He's opening up now to 3 or 4 car lengths. You see Pena and Chase Elliott battling. That's for a top 5 spot.
So a little bit of smoke coming out of that one of Sergio Pena. Again, you see smoke on the right side. I'm not sure if that's tire rub or not, but definitely some smoke coming out of that one of Pena.
Yeah, that looks more like engine smoke, I think. And sometimes we'll see these spec engines smoke a little bit, but that's more than we were seeing earlier from Sergio Pena.
Sergio Pena just in front of that 9 of Chase Elliott. Right behind him, the 4 of Brian Ortiz.
That smoke's getting worse, it looks like, in Sergio Pena's car.
A lot of damage to the front end. That hood has to be affecting the engine at some point. Oh, we've got a problem once again. The 26 of Dylan Presnell is turned around. Bringing out the 7th caution. Let's take a race rewind now.
Bowman-Gray Stadium is NASCAR's longest running weekly sanctioned racetrack, hosting races since May 18, 1949. The track hosted 29 NASCAR Grand National races from 1958 to 1971. From Lee Petty to Junior Johnson, all of the NASCAR legends at one time or another raced here. Richard Petty won his 100th of 200 wins at Bowman-Gray Stadium, and a little boy named Richard Childress first entered the racing world selling soft drinks in the grandstands. Today, the track plays host to the NASCAR K&N Pro Series and Whelen Southern Modified Tour. Matt DiBenedetto won the inaugural race for the K&N Pro Series East last year, but each week since 1949, this little track hosts the big horsepower of weekly NASCAR Whelen All-American Series Modified racing.
And there's Glenn Wood, the 2012 Hall of Fame inductee. And also, I believe he won here, what, about 4 times, didn't he?
4 times, sure did, in the Cup Series. As a matter of fact, I talked about being here in 1970. That was for a Cup race.
It surprises me that you can get Cup cars on this racetrack. But I guess we're seeing it right now. These are old Cup cars that are racing on this track. And how about the restart by Darrell Wallace Jr. in the 18? He's able to take second away from Kyle Larson. Larson stuck on the outside now.
They're just pushing him to the outside. Every car going by him just shoves him to the outside a little bit more. Chase Elliott now going by.
Chase Elliott takes the position. Kyle Larson noses his way right in front of Brian Ortiz. And around goes the 32 of Dale Quarterley. And a fan jumps up and throws his hands in the air cheering.
See if Dale can get refired here and get going before the leader gets here. It looks like his car may be stalled for a moment. Let's see if we can see what happens. It's going to be a chain reaction. Looks like Travis Pastrana kind of shoved Dale into the corner there, and around he went.
I wonder if that is a little bit of payback since Quarterley had been into the back of the 99 almost every lap.
It could have been. It could have been. But that's going to happen here on this little short track.
A lot of damage to the right front of that 32 of Dale Quarterley. But he continues around the racetrack. A lot of damage also to the inside of that 32.
See Dylan Presnell stalled on the racetrack. He gets it refired.
He'll continue once again, tack onto the back of the field. We're ready to get the restart underway. Corey LaJoie on the inside. This time it's Darrell Wallace Jr. on the outside. Green flag back in the air.
Let's see if Corey can get off of turn 2 as well as he has been. He's already got him cleared. Great side-by-side for second between Pena and Wallace.
Pena looks like he has the preferred line, has the position on Darrell Wallace Jr., but Darrell Wallace Jr. hanging tough. Maybe he's going to be able to hang on to that 3rd spot, and sure enough, he does.
He does. Chase Elliott jumps in behind him, then Moffitt runs in the back of Chase Elliott. Now Ryan Gifford gets turned around by Godovic.
Ryan Gifford up into the grass now and headed the wrong direction. That brings out the caution for the 9th time here on lap 107.
Remember, we had 15 last year.
I hope we don't match that.
Me too. Me too.
We're under 40 laps of racing remaining in this one. Take a look at why.
It's going to be a chain reaction deal. You see right there, Godovic gets in the back of the 2, but they're running so close. All these cars so close. We've seen that happen a lot.
Yeah, Carlos Iaconelli was all over the back of Brandon Godovic and actually tore off part of his bumper. We'll have the green flag when we come back for the NASCAR Hall of Fame 150. Welcome back, NASCAR Hall of Fame 150 here on Speed. Corey LaJoie back in the gas as the green flag goes back in the air.
Great start again by Corey LaJoie. Now Pena's on the outside. Ooh, Chase Elliott gets bumped to the outside.
Saw a piece of debris fly up against the guardrail on that restart, but if it's out of the racing groove, we stay green.
Darrell Wallace Jr. now has that 2nd spot. He was able to get in front of Pena.
Nose to tail. 6 cars back now. Chase Elliott trying to hold on to a top 6 spot.
Yaconelli moves to the inside of Larson. You know, just a few laps ago, Kyle Larson was running first and second, and now he finds himself outside the top 5.
Chase Elliott with an impressive pass on Brian Ortiz. Elliott takes over 5th from Ortiz, but just in front of him, he's got Brett Moffitt in the 11.
Now Ben Kennedy's been able to get in front of Larson.
Kyle Larson tucked in behind that 96. Just behind Kyle, the 37 of Harrison Rhodes. A very impressive run for Harrison Rhodes in his first ever start.
He's kept his nose fairly clean. He was involved in one of the earlier incidents, but it's hard not to be involved in something here on this little tight quarter mile.
I don't think anyone hasn't been involved in something at this point. As we look at all these race cars, a lot of beat up sheet metal, as well as some of those composite bodies torn apart.
See, Ben Kennedy, with all that damage to the front of his car, has made his way well up into the top 10.
Get out in front, Corey LaJoie, just 30 laps of racing to go. A little bumping and banging here between the 9 of Chase Elliott and the 11 of Brett Moffitt.
See that little bit of a gap in front of Sergio Pena all the way up to the 2nd place car of Darrell Wallace Jr.
Still seeing a little bit of smoke coming out of the right side, and you're right, it's coming out of the tailpipes of that one of Sergio Pena.
Only 28 laps to go. I know he just hopes it'll last to the end. 28 laps is only, what, 7 minutes?
It happens pretty quick here at the stadium. So in front of the 11 of Brett Moffitt, it's a smoking 1 of Sergio Pena. And then right behind Moffitt is the 9 of Chase Elliott.
Yeah, Pena's definitely lost touch with the 18 of Darrell Wallace Jr.
And Sergio Pena trying to hang on with all the damage to the front end of that race car. And it looks as though Moffitt is being patient with Sergio Pena right now, because he gets up to the back bumper, but he doesn't make contact with him.
He's all over the back of him, that's for sure. I know he would love to have his teammate move over and see if he can go chase down those front 2.
Nose to tail around this quarter-mile stadium. Brian Ortiz back there behind the 9 of Chase Elliott. This continues.
Moffitt was underneath the back bumper of Pena.
These are modified race cars now because the front ends have been pushed down by running into the back of some of these race cars. So Moffitt, as you mentioned, was completely underneath that one, but he didn't get him loose, and that might change here soon.
I think right now Brett Moffitt would love to maybe take a shot at the outside, but he knows if he opens up the inside, Chase Elliott's going to close up that hole. He has to try to work his way to the bottom of Pena.
And this is a situation where Pena trying to hang on to that position, but he's got Brett Moffitt all over his back bumper. Again, while this is going on, Corey LaJoie out in front of the field.
Oh, there was some sparks underneath the front of that car of Pena.
Corey LaJoie has got a comfortable lead now over Darrell Wallace Jr. running 2nd. And then the battle for 3rd continues between Sergio Pena. Here comes Brett Moffitt. Moffitt to the inside. Pena moves to the outside and looks like he's moving off the racetrack now.
Yeah, I think that motor finally let go. We saw the sparks as you see him go behind the wall. We saw the sparks coming from underneath that car. Something finally let go.
Jorge Contreras Jr. in the 12, a little bit slower on the inside of the racetrack. Now the battle for 3rd continues, but this time it's between Brett Moffitt and the 9 of Chase Elliott.
See Corey LaJoie now, he's coming into some lap traffic. That's Sam Hunt, the 22. Corey's been able to get by him. Now Darrell Wallace Jr. gets by him. There's Moffitt and Chase Elliott right there, 3rd and 4th.
So the battle for 3rd still a good one between Brett Moffitt and Chase Elliott. And up in front, Corey LaJoie putting about 4 car lengths between himself and Darrell Wallace Jr.
Looked like Chase had a problem that last corner for some reason. He was right up on the back bumper of Moffitt. He may have got in that corner a little bit too hot, lost 4 or 5 car lengths.
Phil, I need you to sit down because this is the longest green flag run we've had since the start of this race.
And I know Corey LaJoie is saying, please no more caution flags. I got a little bit of breathing room. It gives me an opportunity to work this lap traffic with a little bit of gap over Darrell Wallace.
Corey LaJoie with a great run now coming up on Ryan Gifford. You can tell how well that 07 is running. Ryan Gifford has been involved in a few incidents, but still a very quality race car out here. And Corey LaJoie is all over the back bumper of the 2 now.
Yeah, Sean Case right in front of him. Arteaga right in front of Sean Case. So some really good cars here right in front of our leader.
And now the slower lap traffic is going to come into play because Corey LaJoie is going to have to figure out how to negotiate around the slower lap traffic. That'll bring Darrell Wallace Jr. back to Corey LaJoie's back bumper.
And even these slower lap traffic cars can still get around here at a pretty good pace. They're not going to be easy to pass.
Nose to tail. You see Eddie MacDonald just in front of that 99 of Travis Pastrana.
See Corey moves by Sean Case. That's one of those lap cars down.
See the 8 driven by Jorge Arteaga. He moves up the racetrack just a bit.
You see Corey right in there behind. 5 cars running nose to tail.
Darrell Wallace Jr. is getting ready to go by Sean Case to close the gap between he and race leader Corey LaJoie. 11 laps of racing to go. LaJoie crossing the stripe once again. He's got the slower lap traffic in front of him. That allows the 18 of Darrell Wallace Jr. to close the gap now.
He has to be so careful because I know he would love to just try to drive by him on the outside, but if he does that, Darrell Wallace Jr. will be right there.
And Darrell Wallace Jr. is right there now. Contact between he and the 8 of Jorge Arteaga.
Looked like Arteaga did not realize that Darrell Wallace Jr. was there. Corey LaJoie gets by Ryan Gifford. He puts a car in between them.
Damage to the right front of that 18 of Darrell Wallace Jr. Will that affect the handling of the car and potentially the right front tire? Corey LaJoie has a buffer now. The 2 of Ryan Gifford in between he and the 18 of Darrell Wallace Jr.
Only 8 laps to go. There's Travis Pastrana right there in front of Corey LaJoie. He's the next car on the hit parade.
And it looks as though the 18 of Darrell Wallace Jr. struggling to get by the 2 now of Ryan Gifford. So Corey LaJoie with a little cushion, but still he has the slower lap cars in front of him that he's trying to get by to put some gap between he and Darrell Wallace Jr.
Travis Pastrana right now is in a battle with Eddie MacDonald for position.
And Corey LaJoie all over the back bumper. As you mentioned, laps clicking off quickly here. 6 laps of racing to go. We're 6 away from potentially Corey LaJoie going to victory lane for the first time in the K&N Pro Series East.
How about Moffitt now? He has caught Darrell Wallace Jr. Darrell Wallace Jr. makes contact and the caution is out.
Caution comes out once again. This time it's Ryan Gifford and Chase Elliott involved. You see Chase Elliott getting turned back around. And how about the damage to Sam Hunt? The front of that race car bent up. Corey LaJoie closing in on a potential first win in the K&N Pro Series East.
I found a powerful new way to cut out arthritis pain.
New Icy Hot Arthritis Lotion. Targets arthritis with powerful encapsulated menthol that gets icy to dull pain, hot to relax it away.
For hours and hours of relief.
New Icy Hot Arthritis Lotion.
Power Pass Pain.
From Bowman-Gray Stadium. On the outside, Darrell Wallace Jr. Inside, race leader Corey LaJoie. Coming out of turn number 4. Green flag goes back in the air.
Corey's been perfect on these restarts. Darrell Wallace Jr. drives it hard and drives it too hard in the corner.
Goes out wide, a green-white checkered finish. Ben Kennedy slides up the racetrack too. Corey LaJoie, once he gets by, if he sees the white flag, he's got 1 lap to go.
Moffitt is up to second now. Darrell Wallace Jr. back to third. The white flag is out.
One more time around. Corey LaJoie working his way. Oh, the 15 of Iaconelli gets turned around.
Moffitt gets turned around.
Moffitt turned around running second. Corey LaJoie coming out of turn number 4. LaJoie wins at Bowman-Gray Stadium.
What a great job by Corey LaJoie. Was so good on the restarts. Jimmy Weller spun to the inside. There's Godovic and Ben Kennedy sliding across the line.
Sliding across the grass, Ben Kennedy and Brandon Godovic for their finishing positions.
I cannot keep track of what all happened on that last lap.
Corey LaJoie coming out of turn number 4. He had finished second 3 times previously. 4th time is a charm. Corey LaJoie winning at Bowman-Gray Stadium.
Kyle Larson coming up and giving him a, I guess it was a congratulatory bump.
How about Carlos Iaconelli? He can't even see right now. The hood has flown up and on the windshield of that race car.
Look at all the damage on every one of these vehicles. Here we go right there. There's Iaconelli getting turned around. He was running 4th. Darrell Wallace Jr. turns around Moffitt. He was running 2nd.
Brian Ortiz takes advantage of that and moves up behind the 18. Here's another look.
Simultaneous spins right there.
18 of Darrell Wallace Jr. all over the back bumper, gets into the back of the 11, spins the 11 out, and they're not happy. And as a matter of fact, they're going to talk about it. Maybe a little extra than talk. Darrell Wallace Jr. keeping his hat on. Brett Moffitt in the 11.
They call this place the Madhouse.
And you heard the crowd roaring there. Take another look. This was the slide by the 46 and 96.
That was across the line for the finish, and it looks like Godovic is going to get the spot over Ben Kennedy.
So Darrell Wallace Jr. has an escort as he leaves the racetrack, and the fans absolutely love it. Welcome back. A beautiful evening for short track racing for the Hall of Fame 150. And going to victory lane for the first time in his career, the son of Randy LaJoie, two-time Nationwide Series champion, Corey LaJoie. Let's hear from him.
He was second last year, and now Corey LaJoie picks up the first win of his career in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series. He wins here tonight at the historic Bowman-Gray Stadium. The crew is ecstatic. Everyone's excited. Corey LaJoie, come on over here, Corey. We got to talk to you when you win these races.
I haven't done one of these before, so I don't really know what's going on. Oh, man, I'm speechless. I just got to think. Well, we're going to go down the list. We're going to thank Thermal Control Products, SRI Stock Car Steel Chase Decals, Joy of Seaton, Pro Systems, Roush Yates, BSCI, JRI, 5-Star, RE, Moroso, ProFab, Mechanics Wear, Goodrich, Peterson, Heinz, Gear Tech, iBox Springs, Sims Metal Management. They're the best for last. They help us out the most. Man, it's just, I'm speechless. I'm so happy. I had to drive my heart out. Everybody's racing clean. I can't complain about anybody, and it's just Bowman-Gray Stadium racing. We had a really good car. I think I tore it up more. I think I tore up more on the cool-down lap than I did on the whole race. But I got to thank Speed, K&N, and everybody for letting us come out here and get my first career W.
He thanked everyone. I'm fairly confident
he's
he got
a great
them all.
reader. He's a great reader.
He almost thanked the folks in the crowd for coming out and watching him. But Corey LaJoie gets that first career win, a huge win for him. And Travis Pastrana finishing up 14th. A lot of guys, you take a look at the finishing results here, I'm telling you, they were sideways crossing the start-finish line for some positions. And some people weren't too happy about how it ended. Let's hear from one.
Well, Darrell Wallace Jr. and Corey LaJoie were classmates in high school together, but how cool is it to be able to race with one of your friends and still have a podium finish at Bowman-Gray?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, Corey, he had the car to beat all night. He was able to roll the center a lot better. So, you know, as his win finally came, he's been trying for a long time. He's been working his heart out. So it's good to see a close friend get the win, and it was definitely an eventful race.
During the last lap of that race, we know how it is here at racing at Bowman-Gray Stadium. Would you have given him the bumper a little?
Well, he kept getting into me, but I know that's racing, and Corey looked like he overdrove it going into one on the white flag, and checked Moffitt up, and he moved up and gave me a lane, and I gassed in it, and he come down at the same time. That's racing. I know it happened to him 2 weeks in a row, but it's racing. I apologize. I mean, it wasn't intentional at all, and things just got heated on the front stretch here, but I think I'm calm now. I'll go talk to him here in a little bit. I know he's frustrated, but it was a good bounce back for us at Joe Gibbs Racing. It was definitely a positive night for us. Good points finish for us. It was, like I said, an eventful night. I just want to thank everybody back at the shop, Coca-Cola, Toyota, Brian Frazier, and all the guys working on the car hard. Thanks.
Darrell Wallace talked about it being a good points night. He breaks back up into the top 10, finishing this one and moving up to the 9th spot. But Chase Elliott, a 16-point lead over LaJoie. So Corey LaJoie, after this win, has closed the gap on Chase Elliott.
Two things you can be sure of at Bowman-Gray Stadium: wrinkled sheet metal and hurt feelings. Brett Moffitt, what happened on that last lap?
Man, we were where we needed to be. You know, we were restarting 4th all night. It was too early to move people. You know, Darrell, he was running 3rd, and I could have easily moved him and got that spot, but I didn't want to race like that. And you know, we finally got to where we were restarting where we needed to be on that last restart. And you know, Sergio let us in a lot, so that was a big help. But you know, the 18 just got into us and decided he wanted the spot worse than I did, and just proceeded to wreck me.
Things got pretty heated out there on the track. Did you and Darrell get to talk yet?
Not really. His crew kind of broke it up, you know, before we really said anything. But you know, he thinks he's always in the right, and he's not. You know, I could have done that to him every lap of the race, but I didn't, because I didn't want to race like that all season. But you know, he goes out there and does that, and that's just not right.
Well, Phil, I think we should come here every week.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
What a great day. You see Glenn Wood, Hall of Famer in victory lane there with Randy and Lisa LaJoie and Corey. Great moment.
Next stop for the K&N West Series, the Bull Ring, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That's Thursday, June 14th, 3 p.m. right here on Speed. Side-by-side racing, a little bumping and banging, some bent-up sheet metal at the end of the day, maybe some tempers flaring a bit as well. but it was the elation of a first-time winner. Corey LaJoie finds victory lane at the historic Bowman-Gray Stadium.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.